welcome back to Season 5 of Your Path to Career Success, the podcast that's your compass in navigating the winding road of your professional journey. I'm Catherine, aka The Career Owl, and today we'll be delving into the key challenges and opportunities that come with stepping into leadership roles. Whether you're stepping into a leadership role for the first time or transitioning into a new position after years of experience, this episode is for you. I'll be sharing tips from my own personal journey into leadership, as well as the insight I've gained from supporting others during their leadership transitions in my HR career, and also since I've owned my own business. It's not an easy journey, but with the right mindset and approach, you can step into these roles with confidence and clarity. But first, grab your favourite beverage, cozy up, and let's get started. One of the most critical things to do when stepping into a leadership role is to assess and align your approach with both the team's needs and the organisation's strategic goals. From my experience, the first few weeks set the foundation for success, and the importance of understanding the environment you're stepping into cannot be overstated. When taking on a new leadership role, it's essential to get a clear understanding of the team dynamics, the company culture, and the challenges you'll face. Think of it as laying out a map for your journey ahead. I once worked in a leadership role where the team had just gone through a major restructuring. During my one-on-one meetings with key stakeholders, I asked questions like, what's going well and what do you think needs further improvement? In addition to listening, take time to observe how the team interacts. Notice who leads naturally, who needs more guidance, and where the gaps are. Understanding these nuances helps you anticipate where your leadership will have the most immediate impact and where you need to tread more cautiously. This approach enabled me to gain valuable insights that helped me create a collaborative and functional team right from the start. While understanding your team is crucial, you also need to align your leadership vision with the company's strategic goals. I often remind new leaders that you're here not just to manage tasks, but you're here to move the organisation forward. In one of my HR roles, I noticed that new managers often struggle because they focus too much on their immediate team's daily operations and lost sight of how their work fed into the company's broader objectives. Ensure that you regularly revisit the company's strategic objectives and ask yourself how your team's goals can contribute. Whether you're involved in improving processes, driving innovation, or enhancing team morale, ensure that what you're working towards moves the needle for the organisation as a whole. This is something I covered in detail in Season 2, Episode 7 of our podcast titled Navigating New Horizons, Discovering Your Leadership Style in a New Role. For those looking to explore how to better align with these objectives, I highly recommend checking out my Your Career Pathway Toolkit, available on my website for $9.99. Now this brings me to my next point, building relationships. Stepping into a new leadership role can feel like walking into a room full of expectations, some positive, some sceptical. You can't lead without trust, and trust comes from relationships. In my experience, one of the biggest challenges for new leaders is gaining the trust of a team that may not know them well. When I started my first leadership role, I made it a point to get to know each team member personally. I scheduled time with everyone, from senior staff to more junior team members, to understand their concerns, goals, and working styles. Not only did this help me build rapport, but it also provided insight into how the team operated. As a leader, it's vital to create connections that go beyond tasks and deliverables. People are motivated when they feel understood and valued. Building those early connections made all the difference. So as you step into your leadership role, prioritise building trust with your team. This means not only listening to them, but also showing that you value their input. Actionable step. Schedule one-to-one meetings within your first few weeks. Use this time to ask open-ended questions like, what's working well and where do you feel we could improve? This gives team members a voice and shows that you're here to listen before acting. For more practical tips, you can listen to Season 2, Episode 4 of my podcast titled Connect, Collaborate and Succeed, Unleashing the Power of Relationships. And of course, communication is key. From day one, set a tone of open and transparent communication. Open communication is the backbone of strong teams. When stepping into leadership, you'll want to set a tone of transparency from the beginning. Let your team know that you're there to listen, but also to lead. In my experience, leaders who keep communication lines open tend to build a culture of collaboration and trust, which can help smooth over any bumps during your transition. In my career, leaders who foster a culture of openness are usually the ones who build the most resilient teams. Actionable step. Create opportunities for regular feedback through weekly check-ins or an open door policy, ensuring that communication flows both ways. When your team feels heard, they'll be more likely to follow your lead and buy into your vision. One of the biggest challenges in stepping into leadership is the pressure to make decisions, sometimes big ones without all the information. This is where many new leaders feel the pressure, but confidence and decisiveness can help bridge that gap. Here's the truth: you're not going to know everything right away, and that's okay. No leader has all the answers, especially when they're new to a role. One of the most valuable traits you can have as a leader is a willingness to learn. During one of my transitions into a leadership position, I quickly realised how much I didn't know. Rather than letting this paralyse me, I sought advice from mentors and trusted colleagues, and it helped me grow more confident in my decision-making process. Actionable step: identify mentors within or outside your organisation whom you can turn to for advice. Leaning on others' experiences doesn't make you less of a leader, it makes you a smarter one. For more practical tips, you can listen to Season 3, Episode 10 of my podcast titled The Importance of Mentorship, Finding Guidance in Your Career Journey. That said, while it's important to be humble and open to learning, you also need to make decisions. Early on in my career, I learned that being too cautious can lead to stagnation. As a leader, you have to strike the right balance between gathering information and taking action. Your team will be looking to you for direction, and indecision can create uncertainty. In one particular leadership role, I had to make a quick decision about restructuring our team. After gathering feedback and information, I made the call. The key was not just making the decision, but communicating it with clarity and standing by it. Actionable step: practice decisiveness by making small, low-stake decisions quickly. Over time, this will build your confidence when bigger decisions come along. As a new leader, you'll also be managing change, not just for yourself, but for your team. And with that comes the challenge of managing expectations both up and down the chain of command. And it's important to set realistic expectations from the beginning. It's tempting to want to make an immediate impact, and one of the biggest mistakes new leaders make is trying to change too much too soon. But one thing I've learned is it's better to set realistic short-term goals that you know you can achieve, rather than trying to accomplish everything at once. Break down your goals into manageable steps, and don't be afraid to celebrate small wins along the way. This builds momentum and confidence for larger, more complex initiatives down the road. Actionable step: break down your first 90 days into a roadmap of achievable tasks. Focus on a few quick wins to show progress and build trust with your team. In addition to setting goals, it's important to manage the expectations of your team and your superiors. Be clear and transparent about what you can realistically achieve in the first 30, 60, or 90 days. Communicate this not just to your team, but also to your superiors. In my HR roles, I always encourage new leaders to have honest conversations with their managers about expectations. This can help alleviate pressure and prevent misunderstandings about what success looks like in those early months. Actionable step: have a meeting with your manager early on to align what success looks like for you in your first few months. Finally, let's talk about the most crucial part of leadership: empowering your team and leading by example. Great leaders don't just manage, they inspire. They encourage their teams to take ownership of their work, which creates a sense of investment and trust. Early in my leadership career, I tried to handle everything myself, which quickly led to burnout. I learned that empowering my team not only relieved my workload, but also allowed them to grow and thrive in their roles. Actionable step: start delegating tasks to team members based on their strengths and interests. This will foster a sense of ownership and autonomy within the team. Leadership is about setting the standard for behaviour. Whether it's how you communicate, handle stress, or make decisions, your team is watching. If you model the behaviours you want to see, such as resilience, openness, and accountability, your team will follow suit. Actionable step: make a conscious effort to model the behaviours you want to see in your team, particularly during stressful times. So, in conclusion, navigating a leadership transition can be daunting, but with the right approach, you can set yourself up for long-term success. By taking time to assess the landscape, building strong relationships, making confident decisions, and leading by example, you'll not only survive your first few months, you'll thrive. Remember, leadership is a journey, not a destination, and every step forward builds on the one before it. I hope these tips were helpful for you today. If you're currently going through your own leadership transition or have specific questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. If this episode lit a fire within you, hit that subscribe button, share the love with a review, and spread the wisdom with your friends and co-workers. Alternatively, follow me on LinkedIn, Catherine Hall, the Career Owl. Join me next week for more insights and tips on navigating your career journey. Until then, keep pursuing and building your path to leadership success.